Hello, this is Robert Stoll of Stoll Review, and for those who don't know, once upon a time, the Stoll Review was strictly a channel for reviews of whatever I happened to be interested in at the time. This may have included obscure music or less than obscure movies, but in any case, it wasn't really meant to talk about politics of media or any of the kind of things that I talk about now. Well, today I got a chance to see Pitch Perfect 2, and my initial thought was I was going to dredge up the old format and make a review for it as a way to kind of counterbalance the Doug Walker or Anita Sarkeesian trope-based analysis with my own trope-based analysis that proved that using tropes was not always a bad thing. Well, I'm still going to review it. But as it turns out, this movie was exactly the wrong kind of movie to try and define proper trope analysis with. It's just that bad. I'll start with the positives, since they are far fewer in number and really easier to talk about. In terms of music, the film is actually really decent, unlike much of the fluff that has recently filled the genre. There's nothing especially horrendous in it, like Annie, Rock of Ages, Les Mis, or actually really far from it. If you want really well-polished a cappella covers that remain for about a minute and 30 seconds or less, you really can't go wrong. There's even an appropriate amount scattered throughout that both highlight the competition as well as smaller story points. And for those who might complain about this, well, you're simply at the wrong movie. Aside from that, there were some select scenes that actually had good acting that was complemented by a good script, but really not enough for my taste. There was even a number of cameos from actual a cappella singers, which, while oftentimes maybe too blatant in the roles that they were put, at least made appropriate nods towards the subgenre. Limited as it was, this movie was only mostly crap, and not complete crap. The main culprit is the writing. Pitch Perfect 2, in a word, is cliché. It's no surprise that they had hired Kay Cannon of New Girl fame and Mickey Rapkin, who writes for GQ. The writing reduces what could have been an effective plot down to nothing more than walking caricatures. And yet, it's odd. For all the snide rips that the movie takes at fat people, a cappella, LGBTQS, and pretty much every denomination that anti-SJW gets attacked for hating, this movie is exactly the kind of film that is simultaneously geared towards SJWs. The bad guys are contrived, and they don't hide their bigotry in realistic ways. The universe is conspiring against the main protagonists, yet all the while the answer lies within themselves rather than something practical, like let's say the overuse of unneeded stage props which magically disappear in their final number and or lack of practice. In fact, we don't see anything ugly at all, with performances even coming out spontaneously that still are, for lack of a pun, pitch perfect. Instead, we get to see the strained career of one protagonist as she becomes a music producer, all the while not facing many hurdles in the first place and actually getting more than one opportunity by the hard-ass boss character, and the internal plight of a freshman girl who struggles all the while fitting in to the group rather easily. On a deeper level, these scriptwriters know exactly what they're writing even, as they didn't even write a scene for the final award ceremony. Rather, they just showed the award on a shelf in the very next scene. Worse off, nothing makes any single competing group better than the others in this flick. Sure, they may have different personalities. The German antagonists sound more like a vocal symphonic metal band in Goose Step, and the old school college a cappella group, all comprised of older actors who wore leather jackets. But in terms of sound, none of them really sucked. The only thing that made the difference were characters' reactions to any given performance, including two blatantly bigoted podcaster characters who blatantly called performances good or bad. This movie wasn't even able to differentiate between singing groups on a level that, given the competition element of the plot was needed out of what I suspect was a need to whitewash it for ambiguity's sake. All in all, this was a bad movie. It had a stupid premise, and while the musical numbers were good, I couldn't build up any sort of positive emotion towards those singing them. Everything was whitewashed until all that remained was a dumbed down third season of Glee in movie form. I know many dislike what has been said about the newest Mad Max, but honestly, I have little faith in a movie going audience that makes this the overall box office winner over an action movie. My name is Robert Stoll of the Stoll Review, hoping you all have a nice day, and hoping you all have better movie going experiences than me.